What are the differences between HR and employment law? When do you need an HR manager or a fractional HR person? And when do you need an employment lawyer on speed dial?
Yes. Wow. To boil that down, the harder part of answering that question is to boil it down to a succinct answer. I would say that first, I'll start off by saying there are a lot of similarities and overlap in what we do. So, HR consultant or HR manager and employment lawyer, we both handle questions of compliance. We both draft employee handbooks and offer letters and onboarding documents. So, we both kind of deal in information, giving that business information about what laws to follow, et cetera. I think the difference is that number one, most obvious difference, right? An HR person cannot practice law. So if a company is being sued by an ex-employee, have your employment lawyer on speed dial. If there's a threat of a lawsuit, even get that employment lawyer involved, or a Department of Labor audit, or some kind of adverse proceeding. But taking it a step further, I think another time to have an employment lawyer on board is when there's any kind of sensitive termination or situation. Because remember, HR, a lot of times the focus is on how can we give our client information about talent, recruiting, with law to follow. And we lawyers, we often look to how can we look deeper what's going on here? How can we avoid a situation? I can give you like a really quick example if you'll indulge me. This perfectly, I think, illuminates the difference and why you need one, not the other, or when you need one, not the other. Have a client, she and I are working, she runs a small company, and we work on a few issues. And she said, by the way, I'm firing so-and-so. And I asked my HR company and they gave me the termination letter. Can you look it over, make sure it's correct? And I said, sure, I'll look it over. And the letter was just fine. It talked about last paycheck, right, your COBRA benefits and what, but you're being fired for cause. So I asked the employer, well, hold on a second. Tell me about this for cause and insubordination. What was the insubordination? Why are you firing this person? Just to make sure nothing was amiss. And they said, oh, she's always, the person we're firing is the troublemaker. Well, tell me more. Well, they come in late, they do this, they do that. And they're always getting people in the break room and trying to organize them to get more raises, to get better meal breaks. They complain about the pregnant woman not getting a lactose room. They're always complaining. And I said, whoa. I said, take that termination letter, which is perfect, by the way, and throw it in the garbage or delete it. Don't send it. But the HR company just heard we're firing someone. So their mind was, here's what you need. My thought was, I'm just always worried and proactively avoiding termination or discrimination cases. I don't want them to be sued for violating the National Labor Relations Act, retaliation for organizing and such. So we had a different plan of action in place.